I got you, yeah.
I will defend my brothers, I will defend the weak. I will pursue and fight evil so others may sleep. I am the sheepdog, protecting the night. Wolf hunters unite, bring it on, it's time to fight. As that alarm clock beeps and wakes you from your sleep, pull back the sheets, it's time to hit the streets. Dudes, fresh shave your face, girls put up your hair. Back breaking and aching from the equipment that you wear. Face to face with your locker, strapping on your vest. Pray to God it'll block a hollow point from your chest. Join up with the squad, that's the crew of the night. Here again, our evil man took another life. Got a price on your head, brother, better beware. Load up that Glock and prepare yourself for...
Hello YouTube, welcome to my tutorial on ELS. This tutorial is going to go over all of the keyboard controls for ELS. ELS is a lighting modification in GTA 5. It is standalone, but is typically used with LSPDFR, which is what we use it for. Without further ado, guys, let's get right into it and learn how to work with our lighting systems. Okay, so the first thing on the menu, guys, is our J key, which is what you just saw me do right here to turn on our lights. Okay, you hit J one time, you get the first stage of lights. Now keep in mind, guys, that your vehicles might look different to mine. It depends on how the creator set up the XML file, or the Vcf file it's called, for their ELS vehicles. So this is my stage one with a traffic advisor on the rear and nothing else. Then we have our stage 2, which is a back and forth flash pattern with our traffic advisor. Then we have a stage 3, which is essentially full light mode, everything here. Stage 3 is when you can actually activate your sirens. So this is the basic controls. That is kind of all you need to know. J and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on some vehicles. And those are not your number pad keys, those are your number row keys. So then, what if there is other things you can do that we don't know about? Well, there is. In fact, ELS is one of the most comprehensive modifications for GTA, LSPDFR aside. And that's my own opinion, so if you don't like that, let me know in the comments, because I'm sure you will. With that being said, guys, what if I want to go back a flash pattern? Right now we're in code 3, or stage 3. What if I want to go back a flash pattern, back to stage 2? Well, that's simple. By holding down Alt and pressing J. Same thing here, hold down Alt again, press J, and now you can see we're back to our TA. And now we're back to off. This is also useful if you want to blip a car and just Alt J and you go right to code 3. Or, forgive me, stage 3. So that's nice to know. Now we have some other options. We're in stage 3 right now, and we have the K button and the L button that toggle our secondary lights and our warning lights. The K button toggles our secondary lights. That's our traffic advisor. As you can see, the traffic advisor yellow stops happening. That's at the press of the K button. The L button, I don't think changes anything on this car.
Oh, come on, sugar. I don't want trouble.
Let's go to our stage 2 and verify. Yep, so the L button does not change anything on this car. And it, like I said, it varies for a car. Now we also have our cruise lights. That's going to be your left square bracket. So the button directly to the right of your P key. And that turns on your cruise lights. Keep in mind, not every car has cruise lights. But the cars that do, you'll typically turn on the outer lights on your light bar, sometimes the outer lights on the traffic advisor, and sometimes lights on the front of the vehicle. So those are your cruises. Oops. Then you also have your takedown lights, which, again, not every car has, and it varies per car. Some turn on the spotlight, some activate the spotlight and the light bar, some don't use the entire light bar, But your takedown lights are using your right square bracket, which is one over from where we just were at. And that'll activate your takedowns. Now, if you have a vehicle with an arrow board, you can actually toggle and raise and lower the arrow board as well. And I will show you guys that toward the end of the video, as that's a different vehicle. Now, we also have what's called scene lights. And I believe that my vehicle does not have them. But scene lights is going to be holding down Alt and hitting your right square bracket key. We also have a lighting mode called Blackout. And if you hit the Blackout key, which is your backslash key, it'll turn off all your lights. This only works if your emergency lights are not on. So if I have stage 1 on and I try to hit the Blackout key, you can see that it's telling me, hey, I can't do that. Kind of sucks. It'd be really nice if you could just straight up black out with your emergency lights on as well, but that's okay. Not a huge deal. Now there's also the interior night light. Now in real police work, this is actually called a blackout light, and its design and intention is to let the officer see out of the vehicle while inhibiting the ability of anybody, potentially a would-be criminal, to see into the vehicle. And to use that feature, it's Alt backslash. That turns on our red interior light, and that is typically called a blackout light. Now obviously in the game you can still see in fairly easily, but if you look up what a blackout light is in a police car, it's typically a red glowing light inside of the vehicle designed to make it harder for people to see in while allowing the officer to see out. So from there we also have main siren, which is G. You have to be in stage 3 lighting for it, so let's do that right now. That'll toggle your siren. Hitting G is essentially like hitting 1 on your keyboard. It's always going to turn on that siren tone. Then you also have Alt G, which does nothing for my car. Yep, does nothing for my car. So now let's get into flash patterns. Okay, this is something everyone likes to know because maybe they don't like how their car flashes, but they love how their car looks. To open up flash patterns, you have to use Alt-P. No, I'm sorry, Control-P. That will open up your console. When you do Control-P, your pause menu will come up. Just close your pause menu and you'll get this control panel down below. This will let you control your siren tones. This will let you control your light patterns and change them. This is not permanent. I think when you spawn a new car, it goes back to the default light patterns. If you want to change the light patterns permanently, you have to do that in the Vcf file, which will either be at the end of this video or in a different video, as it's not something I have messed with, but we could walk over it. I know how to use it. So I'm going to write down really quickly what my patterns are, just so I know, because I don't want to lose the patterns I have on this car as I currently like them, and I want to be able to revert back to them. Okay, so to browse the primary lighting pattern, we're going to use the key U and the key Alt-U. If you look at my control panel down below, when I hit U, it changes the PRM, primary. And I can look at different flash patterns here. And this is for when you're in stage 3 lighting. So I'm in stage 1, I'm in stage, oh no, I'm sorry, stage 2 lighting. Stage 2, stage 3. Oh, that's kind of weird. I think they have that backwards. This is your secondary. This is supposed to be your warning. Oh, no, maybe this is your primary stage, and this is your warning stage. Well, we'll see. Anyway, we are in the third lighting stage, and we can change up our flash patterns to find one that we like. Keep in mind, down below, in your control panel, you also see numbers. And those numbers are the lighting control codes that you will need to modify your ELS Vcf file to do the flash patterns that you want. So we're going to go through these really quick, and I'm going to bring mine back to scan. Alright, so we're getting up towards scan here. There is a lot of light patterns for these vehicles, so we're going to move faster through them here. And for those of you who like to pattern and don't want to go all the way around, let's say you liked 101 and don't want to go all the way back, Alt-U will take you back to 101. And then U again to 102. So we're just holding the button down now, and we're going back to the scan feature because that's the one I like the best. So U and Alt-U control your primary. I and Alt-I will control your secondary. Now on this vehicle, I don't know if it even has modified secondary lighting. Let's see. Oh, that's right. Secondary lighting is your TA bar. I couldn't see it because the red and blue lights were conflicting in my eyes. So anyway, yeah, you can also change your TA bar. I personally don't like directional TA bars. I like something like this, just because I don't want to have to open my control panel and change the direction if I'm trying to make it look like I'm telling traffic to move over one way. So I actually prefer TA bar secondary lighting setting 20. I'm going to write that down, and I might change that. Okay, so now we have the TA bar done, the primary lighting done. Let's change our warning lighting. And our warning lighting is going to be our stage 3. And that's going to be using O and Alt-O. Now, on this car, I don't think it actually changes anything. You can see over there that my boxes on my control panel are flashing differently when I hit it. But I don't see that it makes any difference. And again, not every car will have every feature. So I'm going to turn those lights off, and we'll talk about horns and sounds. So, obviously, the vehicle's horn sound, I believe, is replaced. I don't think you have the default horn anymore. I think it turns it into an air horn. Let's see. Yeah. So it's always going to be an air horn now. So when you hit your horn button, I believe the default is E, it'll sound your air horn. Now guys, I do have a custom Siren pack installed, so your sirens will not sound like mine. I will link the Siren pack name in my description though, so you guys can download the same one. I will also link this police pack, this vehicle pack, in my description. Please note that these liveries are modified by me. I have changed a few minor things on them, so it will not look like yours unless you open up the DDS files and modify them yourself through a program like Paint.net. So, our horn button is going to be E. We also have the vehicle's main horn, so that's the Y key. And that works in lighting stages and no lighting stages. And we have also T, which is kind of like a manual siren mode. Every time you hit it, it'll fling your siren. If you hold it down, it will run your siren. We also have Y plus T, which sounds the manual siren tone too. So it sounds the second manual siren tone. And you can hold down T and then just tap on Y every now and then to switch to your manual siren tone too. Of course, for those of you who already use ELS on a keyboard, you're familiar with keyboard control buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are siren tones. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is a scan mode. So if you listen closely when I hit this button, what's going to happen is it will start to shift through different siren tones. Okay, now we also have an auxiliary siren, and that's number 6. Not every vehicle has an auxiliary siren, but the auxiliary siren lets us run 2 different tones at the same time. So I can go into my high-low, and then my primary. Lets you run 2 siren tones. And that's just choosing anything from 1 through 5. And also hitting 6. Okay, we also have a panic siren. And to show you that, I'll have to get out of the vehicle. I'm going to show you 2 different things about this panic siren feature. If we have our siren on, and I get out, now I'm not on duty, so my automatic siren control will not turn the siren off. But I can turn it off by coming over here and pressing my G key. Now, it's the G key if you have not modified your ELS keybinds. I have modified it so it's actually my semicolon key. Now that the siren is off, we can actually turn it back on from outside the vehicle as well. This turns it into panic mode. And you can see the lighting pattern changed as well. Maybe it did not. Yep, there it goes. And that panic mode, I don't know what it's used for other than just more realism. But it is nice. Now we also have Alt 1 through Alt 5. And we also have scroll lock. Alt 1 through Alt 5 changes the headlight auxiliary, well, Alt 1 changes the headlight auxiliary corona flash pattern. So let's get our headlight flash pattern on. I don't think we have one on this vehicle, so we're going to see what happens here. Okay, we do have one. Okay, so we have a lot of headlight flash patterns actually. So we can change this to any pattern we want. We can have our wigwags going. We can have them just flashing. Another wigwag. Another flashing. A faster, kind of a dual strobing wigwag. Strobing flash. Now, I'm not really a big fan of the wigwag headlights, but I do think that all my Crown Vics have wigwags. So I kind of want to keep the wigwags on. And they do look good on this car. So we're going to go back to 1 for our wigwags. Now, Alt 2 is going to do our taillight auxiliary flash patterns. As you can see, now our auxiliary flash patterns and the tail lights changed. And again, I am not a fan of the flash patterns in the tail lights, so we're going to set those back to base, where there's nothing going on. We also have Alt 3 that changes the front indicator auxiliary flash patterns. I don't know if my vehicle is equipped with these or not. It looks like they are. That's kind of neat, actually. I never messed around with these settings before. Oh, that's nice. I like that. We'll set that back to default. And then we also have Alt 4, which sets up our rear indicator light patterns. And you can see what it changes here. We're going to set that back to default. Alt 5 is going to change our reverse lights auxiliary flash pattern. So we'll go to Alt 5 here. And as you can see, now my reverse lights have a flash pattern. We'll change those back to default. And then, guys, the last button to know is scroll lock. Okay, scroll lock can be your best friend and your worst enemy. When you turn on scroll lock, you disable ELS keys. All their keybinds will not function. So I can control 1, it will not. I can alt 1, it won't change anything. I can try to change my flash patterns. I can try to change my sirens. None of my keys are working. That's because I have scroll lock on, which is nice in case maybe you accidentally press a button a lot of times, or you want to lock your keys so you can't modify it. Don't really know why you'd want to, but it can be useful. I've used it in some situations. Back where the G key, when you're in the car, for example, is a menu key for stop the ped. And if you're in the car and you hit it, it'll turn on your siren. Which is also why I remapped the panic button. But yeah. Guys, this is the basic ELS controls. Let's go ahead and go into a VCF file now. Okay, so now we're in a VCF file. This is a standard file that you get with any ELS vehicle that you are to download and put into your game. You find this file by going to your GTA 5 directory, ELS, and then into the pack default folder. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of ELS files because I have a lot of ELS vehicles. A lot of these are add-on vehicles. So we're going to go back to the ELS file here. And we're going to do a little bit of reading through it. So we're going to come down here to where it says warn. This is going to be our warning lights. Okay, so if we go back to our game and we turn on, well, we turn off our scroll lock first. Told you it's your worst enemy too. And we turn on our warning lights. That's going to be our stage 3 lighting, warning. And we can go back and we can modify our warning. We can have a preset light pattern when we're in stage 3. We can also force patterns for certain siren tones or during panic mode or when we're out of the vehicle. And we can also turn on a custom scan pattern for code 3. Sequential will say go through them in a sequential order. 1, 2, 3. If sequential is set to false, it will go randomly. 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, etc. The same thing down here for our primary lighting. Now our primary lighting, I believe, is 2 clicks in, so our stage 2 lighting. And we can also, again, change what pattern happens. So as you can see, in primary, preset lighting, stage 3, it'll scan. And then in stage 2, it'll run to pattern 14. Again, you can set your main tones, what siren tones make what light patterns. And again, you get this number right down there in your control box. So primary right now is E018. So we would use number 18 in here. And as you can see, it's right here because that's what's already set default. Stage 2, 18. And again, we have the scan pattern. Now this is a better scan pattern because this is enabled, so it actually does scan. And it goes through patterns 16, 18, 94, and 119. Okay, so now we come to our secondary lighting. And we can see that we have lighting stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 enabled. Scanning is false, and we again have no forced patterns. For those of you who do not understand XML files or code in general, when you see slash something inside of your brackets here, like this, that is the end of a section. And if you don't have it, I highly recommend downloading Notepad++, as it helps you see sections. If I wanted to focus on sections, I can come over here and minimize the ones I don't care about until I get to, so here's my warning section, and I can minimize the whole section if I want to work on my primary lights. I can minimize that to work on my secondary lights. So you can minimize things, and it also has these lines here that help you visually understand when a section starts and ends. So guys, that is how you do ELS. I'm not going to go over how to modify the XML files just because I like the patterns that I have set up. And I don't want to change them. But this is how you do ELS. This is all your controls. This is how you read and understand your XML files. And guys, this is Officer Haileykins. I was never on duty, but I am 1042, 10-7 out of service. Good night.